Hi, welcome back to another tutorial. This tutorial is inspired by the wonderful loose painter Ron Ranson. First of all, I'm going to wet the paper and put a little tiny bit of Payne's grey on it. Then just going to add raw sienna just to create a nice wet in wet sky. Actually, I've painted just down to just below the horizon with the water, keeping it lighter towards the horizon, so using a clean damp brush just to lighten the paint as it runs down. And now I'm using Payne's grey and raw umber to pull up some distant trees with the Hake brush. I want a nice thick line of trees there, and I'll gradually use drier or thicker paint to bring them out, to get them to look a little bit stronger at some point. But for now I'll use that weaker mixture on the damp background to get in some more distant trees on the other side. Slightly fainter because these ones will be further back. Going right back into the distance. Hopefully they'll all diffuse nicely, and then we can put another layer of trees in. Just pure burnt umber now to start with, just here. And let's mop up a tiny bit of the water that's dripped down towards the bottom, using a clean damp brush. Just going to put in the shape of the riverbank that I want now, just very lightly, just get the rough shape planned out, and then I'm going to put in some riverbanks. I'm afraid that bit of film got lost. I'm sorry about that, but it's just using the tips of the rigger brush with Payne's grey and raw umber and maybe a bit of ultramarine mixed in, just dabbed on to the banks. Just going to get a little bit of bit more detail. As you can see, we've got this nice dark tree now, and that was mostly done with Payne's grey and burnt umber. That's the one. Yeah, so it's coming along. The detail's quite nice, but the next thing we need to do is get in the river. I'm just going to soften that bank a bit more and soften underneath that dark tree, just to bring a little bit of very, very weak paint over that, just to reduce the white of the paper a little bit, just so it's in a little bit more shadow. Just taking the corner of a card, a store card or a credit card, or you could use your fingernail. Just going to scrape in a few branches. This is something that Ron Ranson was very fond of. A trick, he called it. He said, be careful because it's always all too easy to overdo it. But it's so much fun. I can see why most people tend to overdo it. But I think it looks very effective in that dark bank of trees there. Just a few bits and bobs on the riverbanks. Soon it'll be time to actually get the river itself in. Just maybe define the edges a little bit more. Put in a few more trees. Right, now fairly clean damp water. I always say that, don't I? Fairly clean water across the whole of the river, and then nice bold colours reflecting the same colours that we've used in the landscape across the river. Try and keep the strokes horizontal for the first layer. Just try and keep the water looking nice and flat, as water obviously mostly is. Leaving it, plenty of white and pale paper towards the right foreground for the river, because we don't want to keep plenty of light there if possible. Lightening up a little bit, getting it to how I like it, putting some streaks across for ripples. Right, we need some reflections now, so I think we need to go bold with the same colours again, pulling them down this time over the top of the horizontal strokes. So these are downward vertical strokes to give the impression of the reflections of the banks of the trees behind. Try and keep nice and straight so that the reflections will look quite convincing. Just neaten things up a little bit, a bit more here, a bit more shadow there, just reflection rather. Just this is the moment when you kind of have to tweak it a bit until you get it looking the way that you want, but without fiddling too much. And then take a clean damp Hake brush with a nice chisel edge, and you can pull out some ripple marks or reflection marks, which really helps to give a convincing look of water. Excuse my voice, I've got a bit of a cold at the moment. Right, another layer of darker trees just to strengthen up the left hand background row of trees. Again, it's mostly burnt umber and some Paynes grey. Just going to put a bit more detail into the banks. Nothing much, just bits and bobs, maybe a little touch here and a touch there. It's just a matter now of just tweaking it, adjusting it slightly. I think I want a stronger bank of the suggestion of some bushes on the bank just there. I'm just going to use the Hake brush just to suggest that, and now I'm introducing a little bit of light red here and there, not much, but just a pop of a gentle sort of brick red, just to accent the painting a little bit. I'm using the rigger for a few sticks and twigs on the bank. I don't want too much, just a few things just to break up that line there a bit. I'm not keen on that line there. It looks to me like the river's climbing a bit there, which it shouldn't do. So I'm just going to see if I can straighten that up, get that more horizontal there if I can. I want the look of the river to be going out of sight behind that bank there, if possible. So it's just curving out of sight. But I want it to be a bit flatter there. Bit too much. Let's try and take that down a little tiny bit. I think that's looking a bit better. I think we've actually got it's a bit more convincing, especially if I strengthen up that bank there a little bit. Yeah, I think that's better. And here's the finished painting. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching that, and I hope you'll give it a try. And this is definitely a fast and loose painting in the style of the wonderful Ron Ranson. I'll list the colours in the description below. Anyway, thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe. And if you like what you see, why not come and join me and lots of others in my Patreon group. The link is below, and there I share lots more videos, tips, tricks and techniques for you all to share. Anyway, happy painting, have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.